Topic number 1. They don't think about making money. They think about creating systems. You think billionaires wake up asking, how do I make more money today? They don't. They're asking, what system can I build that generates money without me? That's the difference. You're trading time for dollars. They're building machines that print dollars while they sleep. Jeff Bezos didn't get rich by working harder at a job. He built a system, Amazon, that processes millions of transactions, whether he's in a meeting or on a yacht. The system works. He doesn't have to. Here's what's actually happening. Billionaires understand that their time is the constraint. There are only 24 hours in a day. If wealth depends on their personal effort, wealth is capped. But if wealth depends on a system they own, no cap. The system scales infinitely. You're thinking about your next paycheck. They're thinking about building something that pays everyone else and takes a cut from every transaction. The math is brutal. Your income stops when you stop working. Their income accelerates when they stop working. You can work 80 hours a week and hit a ceiling. Their system can process 80 million transactions a week with no ceiling. That's not motivation. That's structure. That's why they're obsessed with automation, delegation, and processes that run without their constant intervention. Topic number 2. Money is a tool, not a goal. You're trying to accumulate money. They're trying to accumulate power, influence, and optionality. Money is just the vehicle. When you get $10,000, you think about what you can buy. When they get $10,000, they think about what it can build, who it can hire, or what door it can open. Here's the part they don't mention. Billionaires don't worship money. They use it. Every dollar is a resource to deploy for leverage, buying equity, funding ventures, eliminating friction, creating opportunities. You see money as the finish line. They see it as the starting line. That's why they'll spend $50,000 on a meeting that might lead to a $500 million deal while you're agonizing over a $50 dinner. The calculation is different. They're not spending money. They're investing capital into outcomes. The reality is different. Money sitting in an account doing nothing is a failure to them. It's undeployed capital, wasted potential. They're allergic to idle resources. A billionaire with $10 million in cash isn't celebrating. They're asking what investment, acquisition, or opportunity they're missing. Cash is potential energy. Until it's deployed, it's worthless to them. Topic number 3. They calculate opportunity cost on everything. You think about what something costs. They think about what it costs not to do it. Every choice has an opportunity cost. What you're giving up by choosing one option over another. You mostly ignore this. They obsess over it. Here's what nobody tells you. When a billionaire spends $100,000 on a private flight instead of flying commercial, they're not being wasteful. They're buying back 8 hours. Those 8 hours might generate $500,000 in value through deals, strategy, or execution. The flight isn't an expense. It's an investment with a 5 times return. You see the $100,000 and think it's excessive. They see the 8 hours and think commercial is expensive. You're calculating the cost of the ticket. They're calculating the cost of lost time. The truth is messier. Every hour you spend doing low-value work is an hour you're not spending on high-value work. Billionaires ruthlessly eliminate low-value activities, even if it costs money to do it. Your time has a dollar value. They know theirs. You don't know yours. That's the gap. If your time is worth $200 per hour in productive output, but you're spending 3 hours a week on tasks someone could do for $20 per hour, you're losing $540 per week. That's $28,000 a year you're throwing away to save $3,000. The math doesn't lie. Topic number 4. They buy time, not things. You buy cars, watches, gadgets. They buy personal assistants, private chefs, housekeepers, drivers. Sounds like luxury, right? Here's what's actually happening. They're buying back their time. Every task they delegate is time they reclaim to focus on the 1% of activities that generate 99% of their results. That personal chef isn't about fancy meals. It's about not spending 90 minutes a day shopping, cooking, and cleaning. That's 10.5 hours a week. That's 546 hours a year. That's 22 full days they get back. What could you build with an extra 22 days a year? The reality is harsher than you want to hear. You're doing $10 per hour tasks because you don't want to pay someone $15 per hour to do them. Meanwhile, your potential is stuck doing laundry and mowing lawns. Billionaires will pay $100 per hour to free up time worth $10,000 per hour. You won't pay $15 per hour to free up time worth $100 per hour. If you free up 20 hours a month by delegating low-value tasks, that's 240 hours a year. If you use those hours to build a business, learn a high-income skill, or deepen key relationships, the return is exponential. But you can't see that because you're too busy folding laundry. Topic number 5. They think in decades, not years. You're thinking about this quarter, this year, maybe the next 5 years if you're disciplined. They're thinking about 2045. Here's the part they don't mention. Long-time horizons completely change decision-making. When you're optimizing for 20 to 30 years out, short-term losses become irrelevant. Temporary failures don't matter. Quarterly earnings don't matter. Bezos lost money for years building Amazon. Investors screamed at him to show profits. He ignored them. He was building for decades, not quarters. Now Amazon prints billions. You can't think like that because you're worried about next month's rent. That's the trap. Short-term pressure forces short-term thinking. Short-term thinking kills long-term wealth. The math tells a different story. Compound interest needs time. Businesses need time to scale. Relationships need time to pay off. Reputations need time to solidify. When you shorten your time horizon, you cut off the compounding before it gets powerful. You're eating the seeds instead of planting them. Consider this. $10,000 invested at 10% annual return becomes $17,449 in 5 years. The same amount over 30 years, $174,494. That's a 10 times difference just from extending the timeline, but you won't wait 30 years because you need the validation now. They'll wait. That's the difference. Topic number 6. Risk isn't recklessness. It's asymmetric bets. You think billionaires are risk takers? They're not. They're asymmetric bet makers. Big difference. Here's what nobody wants to admit. Billionaires don't take risks where they can lose everything. They take risks where they can lose a little but gain a lot. That's asymmetry. Risk $1 million to potentially make $100 million. That's not reckless. That's mathematics. Even if 9 bets fail, the 10th one pays for all the losses and makes you rich. You avoid risk entirely because you're thinking symmetrically, equal chance to win or lose equal amounts. That's not how they operate. The reality is different. They structure deals so the downside is capped and the upside is unlimited. They negotiate terms where someone else absorbs most of the risk. They use other people's money, other people's time, other people's distribution. You're risking your own capital on 50-50 bets. They're risking other people's capital on 100th bets. That's not courage. That's structure. And when they do risk their own money, they're risking an amount they can afford to lose completely. If you have $100 million and you bet $5 million on a startup, losing it doesn't destroy you. But if it works, it could become $500 million. The asymmetry is everything. Topic number 7. They concentrate wealth, then diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. You've been told this your whole life. So you spread your money thin across everything, hoping something works. Here's where it falls apart. Billionaires do the exact opposite early on. They go all in on one thing. They concentrate everything into the highest conviction bet they have. Bezos went all in on Amazon. Musk went all in on Tesla and SpaceX. Zuckerberg went all in on Facebook. They didn't diversify, they doubled down. Diversification is what you do after you're rich. It protects wealth. It doesn't create it. The truth is harsher. If you spread your focus, time, and capital across 10 things, you'll be mediocre at all of them. If you concentrate on one thing, you might become exceptional at it. You're diversifying too early because you're scared. They're concentrating because they understand that wealth comes from conviction, not hedging. Warren Buffett made most of his fortune from just 10 investments. Not 100. 10. He went deep on things he understood completely, not wide on things he understood superficially. Once you're worth $100 million, sure, diversify to protect it. But when you're starting with $10,000, diversification is just a way to guarantee you stay poor across multiple asset classes. Topic number 8. Spending on capacity versus spending on appearance. You spend money to look successful. They spend money to become more capable. You buy the luxury car to signal status. They buy the executive coach to improve decision-making. You upgrade your wardrobe. They upgrade their skills. Here's what's actually happening. Every dollar they spend is evaluated on whether it increases their capacity to generate more dollars. Does this make me faster, smarter, more connected, more productive? If the answer is no, they don't buy it. That $50,000 they spent on a leadership program, that's not a luxury. That's a capability upgrade that might improve every business decision they make for the next decade. That $100,000 they spent on hiring a world-class CFO, that's not overhead. That's buying financial expertise that saves them millions in mistakes. The reality is different. You're spending to impress people who don't matter. They're spending to outperform people who do. Appearance is a depreciating asset. Capacity is an appreciating asset. Think about it. A $70,000 car loses value the moment you drive it off the lot. A $70,000 investment in learning advanced negotiation skills pays dividends on every deal you close for the rest of your life. Topic number 9. Failure is data, not defeat. You fail once and spiral. You question yourself, you quit. You tell yourself you're not cut out for this. They fail and take notes. Here's what nobody tells you. Billionaires have failed more than you've even tried. The difference is how they process failure. You see failure as evidence you're not good enough. They see failure as evidence the approach didn't work, so they adjust the approach. Musk's rockets exploded. Bezos lost billions on the Fire phone. Branson's cola failed. None of them stopped. They extracted the lesson and kept moving. The math is brutal. If you quit after one failure, your success rate is 0%. If you fail 10 times and succeed once, that one success can eclipse all 10 failures combined. But here's the problem with that. You're emotionally destroyed by failure because you've attached your identity to the outcome. They haven't. The outcome is separate from their worth. They failed. They're not failures. That distinction is everything. When a product flops, they don't internalize it as, I'm a failure. They analyze it as, that product failed because X, Y, Z. Then they build the next thing with those lessons embedded. Topic number 10. They optimize for leverage and optionality. You're working harder. They're working with more leverage. Leverage means getting more output from the same input. It's how you break the linear relationship between effort and results. Here's what's actually happening. Billionaires obsess over leverage, capital leverage, people leverage, technology leverage, network leverage. Every move is evaluated on how much leverage it creates. They hire people to multiply their output. They use technology to automate what used to require manual effort. They build networks that open doors without them knocking. They raise capital so they can deploy 100 times more resources than they personally have. You're trading your time 1-to-1. They're trading 1 hour for 100 outcomes. And optionality? That's about keeping doors open. They make decisions that preserve future choices. You make decisions that close them. The reality is harsher. If you're stuck in a job you hate, in a city you can't leave, with bills you can't escape, you have no optionality. You're trapped. They structure everything to maximize freedom and choice. Leverage multiplies your effort. Optionality protects your future. Without both, you're grinding with no upside. Consider, if you write code once and it serves 10 users, that's linear. If that same code serves 10 million users with no additional effort from you, that's leverage. If you can walk away from any deal, any partnership, any situation without catastrophic loss, that's optionality.